What's up guys, it's Josh back with another video, and today I wanted to show you guys how to set up your own OpenVPN server using the cloud. So let's get to it. So this video is a long time coming. I've been meaning to actually do this video or do a video showing you guys how to set up a VPN for a very long time. I don't know why I kept forgetting to do it or why I kept pushing it to the side, but I think it's time for me to go on and show you guys how to actually do it. And the crazy part about it, I just did a live stream Friday night going through the process of actually setting one up live on a live stream, and it was a total fail. But I had to do a little bit more research, and then I also found the easiest way to actually install it. So I'm gonna show you guys the easy way. That way it's not too confusing for you guys, because if you do it manually, it's very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. So I want to cater this video to people that are new to using Linux, and there's a script out there that'll allow you to set this up super easy. And before we get started, go down and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, I definitely appreciate it. And then also, if you're interested in learning Linux, I have a free 3-hour Linux course that's on my channel. You guys can check it out. It was picked up by Free Code Camp. It's on their website as well. You can watch it over there as well, whatever. But check out the course, give me some feedback and all that good stuff. Also, before we move forward, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Rocky Linux, which I think is one of the best replacements for your CentOS server. If you haven't been paying attention, Red Hat announced last year it will be going away with CentOS as the downstream clone for Red Hat. And Rocky Linux is here to pick up the pieces. So check out Rocky Linux at rockylinux.org. So let's hop over and I'm going to show you guys the website where I have my server set up in the cloud, and then we'll walk through how to actually set up this OpenVPN server. So let's get started. All right, cool. So today I'll be using Linode as the cloud provider, and Linode is an excellent platform. You guys can check that out if you want to. You can manage all your virtual machines up there in the cloud using Linode, just like all the others like Google Cloud, Azure, as well as AWS. You can set up, small servers up there as well. But one thing I like about Linode is super simple to set up your virtual machines, and it's straightforward on how to actually do it. But as you can see, I have a server already set up. I'm not going to take you guys through setting up a server over there, but essentially all you need is the IP address, because what we're going to do is SSH into this server. It's a fresh server. It's been updated. So we'll go right into installing the VPN on it. But before we do that, I wanted to at least show you guys the script that I'll be using today for this demonstration. It's basically a script called OpenVPN install, and this will do pretty much everything you need to set up the OpenVPN server. It'll set up the certificate authority. It'll allow you to create clients. It's an overall script that'll help you set everything up. And it's also cool that it works on a couple different distributions of Linux, so you can quickly set this thing up using the script. But it basically says Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS, and Arch Linux. So that's super dope that it's actually tested in all these different distributions, which are pretty much the major distributions that most people use to set up servers. But it was created by Angerstein. I don't want to mess up your name, but he wrote this script, and I remember using this a long time ago. A couple years back, I saw that this script was actually out there, but we can read a little bit more about it. But I'm not gonna go through it. But it basically has an install, how to actually use it, use the script and everything, but I'll go through all this in the video. So let's hop over to the terminal. I'm gonna SSH into that Linode server, and we're gonna go on and set up our VPN server. All right, cool. So I'm SSH into the server. As you can see, it's running Ubuntu 20.04, and I said this thing, it already has updates. It's already updated and everything. You want to make sure you update your server before you do anything with scripts or installing any new software. You want to run sudo apt updates and then sudo apt upgrade to update the server, patch it and everything, and then reboot. I recommend rebooting as well. That way all the packages that have been updated will be actively running, especially if it's like a server or service or something like that. A lot of times you want to reboot the server so it'll pick up the new config changes and all that good stuff with the actual application that's installed on the server. So as you can see, we don't have any updates on the server, but let's go on and clone down that repository, and that's the simplest way to do it. So let's switch back over to the website and let's go to the GitHub page. And what you typically do, or what I typically do, is just hit the down arrow right there. You can copy the link to the repository right there, and then let's go back over to our terminal. And then Git should be installed on most Ubuntu servers that are, you know, newer, like 20.04. If you got 20.04, it has Git on there. So all you have to do is type git clone and then paste that link in there that we just copied, and that's basically the repository. All we're gonna do is clone it to our home directory, and if we ls this directory, which is our home directory of the account that I'm logged in, you'll see that that repository has been downloaded. So what you want to do now is cd to that repository and press enter, and then let's ls this directory so I can show you guys what's in here. As you can see, there's the frequently.md file, licensing file, there is the script, and as you can see, it's already set to executable. And the reason you can tell is because it's green, and I only know that because I've been using Linux for a while. But a lot of times when you download scripts, they're not in an executable format, so you have to run sudo chmod and then the plus symbol and then X and then the actual file that you want to make executable. So I'll go down and run it so you guys can see, but that's typically all you need to do in order to make it executable. But I'm gonna ls this directory again, but most of the time it'll show up white and then it'll turn green when you turn it or make it executable. And that's basically how you run a script, or like if you create your own custom script, most of the time you're going to create it using a text file or a text editor or something like that. When you save it, it's still going to be in a text format until you set the file as executable and you can run your actual script. So I just wanted to throw that in there as a tad bit so you guys can understand that's how scripts are ran. They have to be executable in order to run within Linux. And that's somewhat of a security feature in Linux. You just can't run anything executable on the system. It has to be in that format. And if you don't have sudo rights to actually change it and make it executable, you know what I'm saying, then you can't run a script. If you're like logged into someone else's server or a server at work. All right, so now that that's done, the next thing you want to do is actually run the script. And what I typically do, since I'm in a regular user account on my Linux server, I have to run this script as root. So a lot of times I'll just go down and log in as root. So we can just type sudo su and that'll log us in as root. And since I just typed in my sudo password, it's still set there. I think it's like a 5-minute timeout where you don't have to type in your password again. So we good to go. That's why it didn't ask for my password when we logged in as root. So as you can see, we're in root and we're in that same location, you know, under home Josh, which is where that script is. So all we have to do is run it now. So we can type the periods and then the /. You want to always do that in order to verify the location of the script. And basically what we're saying with that period and / that we're running something within this directory. So OpenVPN install, that directory is where we're gonna run or look for a file within there. So it's open vpn-install.sh and press enter. And this is a super simple process. All you have to do is follow it. as you can see, it pulls the IP address of the current server, and basically what it's asking is, I need to know the IP version 4 of the network interface you want OpenVPN to listen on. So this is your server listening's IP address, and we'll talk about ports in a second, but we'll select that. And then it's also going to ask you about the IP version 6 connectivity. Now you can go with the defaults on a lot of this. I'll just go on and leave it on since IP version 6 is on this server. So I'm gonna just, and that's cool part about the script, it'll automatically give you the default of what to actually put there, but I'll put yes, so that's fine. And then what I typically use is the default port for OpenVPN. That's the easiest way to do it. You can use a random or custom port on the server, as you can see by those other options there, but I'm gonna use the default port, which is 1194. And so let's press enter. Good to go with that. Now with VPNs, you typically use UDP. UDP is faster, as you can see right there. It even puts the notes in there, which is super cool. But you can use TCP, but it's recommended you use DDP as the protocol. So let's go on and press enter. Now DNS resolvers, this is the next question it wants to ask you. Now you can go through, it gives you a whole bunch of options, you know what I'm saying? Cloudflare, you can use Cloudflare, you can use the current system resolver. So if you have some resolvers set in your etc resolve.config file, then it'll use that. You can select that, but the default is AdGore DNS, which is basically, you know, another type of DNS server out there. As you can see, it's a whole bunch. So DNS.watch, OpenDNS, Google, you can use Google if you want to, you know what I'm saying, or you could put in a custom one, but I'm gonna go with the default, which is AdGore. I'm gonna use the DNS service, which is fine. And then the next thing is it wants to ask you if you want to use compression. Now compression is good, especially if you're trying to save on your bandwidth, and that's the whole purpose of compression, is so you can save on bandwidth. It'll compress certain things, so when you're sending things over the network, you won't use as much bandwidth as you would with it not being compressed. But I'm gonna just turn that off. I mean, you could choose whatever you want. This is all based on you. It says it is not recommended since the Veracall attack makes use of it. So I would say no in this case, since they're already putting out there that there is an attack that can happen. So I'm not going to disable compression. And right here you can specify the encryption. So if you want to, you can go with what they set up. It says do you want to customize your encryption settings? It says unless you know what you're doing, you should stick with the default parameters provided by the script. So that's what I recommend you guys do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you guys messing around with this, but this is basically the encryption settings. And if you're paying attention to this, you know what I'm saying, it's basically taking through everything you have to do when setting up a OpenVPN server, as far as all the settings you want to put into it, you know, when you're setting it up manually. So this script, like I said, makes it super simple. Now let's press enter, boom, and then that'll let you know it's going to take everything that we set, you know what I'm saying, and then create the OpenVPN server. It's going to create the certificate authority, and also after this, which is super cool, it's going to allow you to set up your first client. And then we'll connect to this thing, you know, using another system. I wanted to show you guys how to actually connect to this server as well, and just to verify that it actually works. But let's press any key so we can continue, and I'll go through the process of installing OpenVPN and then configuring it all and setting everything up for you. And then you'll see it'll pop up. There we go, right there. It says tell me a name for the client. So I'm gonna just create one called Josh. Simple. And you can put it whatever you want. You can name the client whatever you want. It could be some random name if you want to, you know, kind of keep it anonymous, like if it's an anonymous type server or something that you want to use. And it really doesn't mean anything. It's just all about actually logging into the server. As long as the configuration is there, you'll be able to log into the VPN. So let's press enter, And then right here, it's going to ask you if you want to add a password protection on a configuration file, which you don't have to do. The default is you don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to make it a little bit more secure, you can use a password for the client. But I'm not going to do it. Like I said, it's just a demonstration. So really don't care. But we're good to go. So as you can see, the script is done. So it set up the server for us. It restored the services, created, enabled it. So whenever you restore the server, the OpenVPN server kick back on and allow people to start connecting to it again. And then also the last step, which is the important step in order for you to actually connect to it, is by getting the configuration file, which is right here, stored in your home directory of the name that we created. So as you can see, under home, Josh, and then there is the OpenVPN configuration file, which is josh.ovpn. Good to go. So basically all you got to do is download that file to whatever client, server, or system that you gonna connect from, and you connect to this server. So let's go down and switch over to my virtual machine so I can connect to this VPN server. And one thing I forgot to show you guys is, let's actually get out of this account and go back to our home directory for that account, and let's clear right fast so you guys can see what I'm gonna actually type. But basically I want to show you guys how to check and make sure that OpenVPN is listening on this server. So we can use a command called ss, and let's type -TU PLN, and those are the options that we want to look at. And then let's grep right fast for VPN. So open VPN and press enter. And I forgot, you have to run this as sudo, that's why it's not showing anything, but let's press enter. And as you can see, that OpenVPN server is actually running, and right now no connections and all that good stuff, so we good to go. Now let's switch over to the virtual machine so we can go down and connect using our client machine. Okay, so this is my client machine. It is a virtual machine running on my local network that will connect as the client to our OpenVPN server. So let's type terminal so we can open up the terminal. And typically what I do is copy the configuration file down to the system, and we're going to use a command called SCP. And SCP stands for secure copy. It's basically the copy command, but it works similar to SSH. It uses a tunnel, you know what I'm saying? So it's encrypted when it's actually copying down stuff from a remote host or whatever you're copying from. And then what we need to type in is the IP address, since this is a remote host. So I had to pull that IP address up, but 45.79.86.36. And so you type in whatever the IP address is for your server, and then you want to put a colon behind it, and then you want to specify the location of that file. So it's under home, Josh, and then the name of the file is josh.openvpn, so OVPN. And then we want to specify the location we want to copy it to. So we want to copy it just to our home directory on a local machine, which is fine. That's whatever location you want to put it in, that's fine. So let's press enter, and that should copy that file down. And since it's our first time, that's why I use it. It put that up there. It's basically adding the fingerprint, because like I said, this uses SSH. So it added our fingerprint to this system. And let's type in our username, password, or our SSH password, press enter, and that'll download that actual file for us to our home directory. And now if we ls this directory, we'll see that we had that josh.openvpn file right there. That's basically our configuration file. That's what we need in order to connect to the server. Now, before we connect to the server, I have to show you guys my IP address, my current IP address, which is fine. I'll get it rechanged or whatever. It's all good. But I wanted to show you the location, the IP address that I'm currently using, which is my outside IP address. So what is my IP? Boom. As you can see, that's my IP address. I might blur that out so you guys can't see it. but whatever, that's my IP address, my home IP address. So let's go down and close that right fast. And now let's connect to our OpenVPN server so we can run all our traffic through that server, all our web traffic and pretty much everything through that one server. And before we run the command, you have to make sure you have OpenVPN. The reason I wasn't going to show you guys this because most modern distributions come with OpenVPN installed, but let's verify that it's installed. But all we have to do is type sudo apt install OpenVPN. That's the package name. Press enter. It's probably going to tell me that it's already installed. Well, it's most likely going to tell me that because I'm sure it's installed on this system. And yeah, as you can see, OpenVPN is already the newest version. And now let's connect to our OpenVPN server. So all we have to do is type sudo, and since we, this is like a command you have to run and use sudo. You have to use root access in order to make changes to your network connection, at least from the terminal. So I'll show you guys how to do that now, but you type sudo, then open VPN, and then you want to specify config, because this is going to specify our configuration file that we downloaded a few seconds ago. So let's go home, Josh, and then josh.ovpn, press enter, and we'll test out this connection and make sure it's done. And what you're looking for at the end of it, once it makes the connection, this is what it'll say. If it's a successful connection, it'll say initialization sequence completed. So we are connected to our VPN. So now if we go to our browser again, type what is my IP, search for it, boom, as you can see, that's the server IP address. So we good to go. We are connected. Now this is not too practical when it comes to actually running it or connecting to your VPN. You have to have a terminal open. So one thing I like to do is and what I did was hit Control-C, and that killed the connection to the actual server. But one thing I typically do is install an application called Screen. So we could type sudo apt install Screen and press enter. And Screen, yeah, sometimes it's installed, sometimes it's not. But Screen is an excellent application. It allows you to run things in a terminal and detach from them and allow them to run in the background. So now that we installed Screen, let's go down and start Screen. So let's type Screen, press enter, boom. That'll open up a terminal, and I'll show you guys how to detach it. And I did a full video on showing you guys how to use the Screen command or the Screen application. And it's an awesome application if you need to run scripts in the background, and it allows you to detach from the actual terminal and allow it to keep running in the background. And that's typically how I run like a Minecraft server. If I'm just trying to set one up for the kids right fast for something they want to try out, I'll quickly set one up, use the Screen, and let it run in the background. Then they'll let me know when they're done with it, and I'll just shut down the actual script. So right now we are in Screen, and so let's run that same command, and let's just type it in. Let's type sudo open VPN, and then we have to VPN, and then we have to type that dash config, so we can specify that configuration file. And like I said, it's under home, Josh, and then josh.openvpn, press enter. Type in our password, sudo password, press enter, and that'll connect back to our VPN. And with Screen, it's super cool. All you have to do is hit Control A and D, and that'll detach the actual terminal, and you'll see it right fast. Boom. And as you can see right there, it says detached. So we have that terminal running, in the background, without you, seeing it or whatever. And we can even exit out of this terminal. Boom. We can open up our terminal again. And then the way you reconnect to it is basically Screen-or. So Screen-or, and press enter, and that'll open up that terminal again, and we could kill the script from here. I'm gonna leave it open though for a second, but I just want to show you guys that even, let's minimize right fast, and actually let's detach from it again, and just to show you guys that the script is still running in the background, we can type what is my IP address, boom, and we're still connected to the VPN. Like I said, that script is running in the background. So let's go back into it, kill that script right fast, because I want to show you guys how to set it up the easy way. So for people that are not good with the terminal yet, then I'll show you guys the easiest way to actually set it up using the GUI. So let's go on, exit out our terminal, because right now we're not connected. We back on our personal IP address. Oh, and I had to exit out of that screen. That's what it did. So it exit out of that screen, and now let's exit out of the terminal. But in Ubuntu 20.04, all you got to do is click up here on the right hand side. So just look at whatever distribution you're using, wherever your network connections, just go down and find that. You can go under settings, I'm sure, on whichever one you want, and then go down into your network settings, wherever they are. They should be at the top. Oh yeah, at the top. Boom. You can add your VPN connection here, and let me show you guys how to set it up using OpenVPN. And what you have to do is hit the plus button right there, and then there are multiple options. You know, you got your OpenVPN, but you have to know all the details in order to put it in on the server, and you have to have all your certs and all that stuff. But the easiest way to do it is using that file that was generated from the script. So we can import from file, but there is the point-to-point tunneling protocol, so PPTP. But all we have to do is click that import file, find our configuration file, which is josh.openvpn. Boom, press open, and it adds all your information there. So your certificate authority certificate, the user certificate, the user private key. And just to show you guys right fast, let's get in here. I'm gonna show you guys that actual configuration file, because I meant to show you guys that earlier, but if we cat out that file, you'll see that it has all the information broken out in a proper way. So it's within our we're in our home directory, so we could just hit cat josh.openvpn, press enter, and if we scroll through this thing, you'll see that it has pretty much everything that's listed in there. You got your information for the server, IP address, the port, you know what I'm saying, your certificates, so that's the certificate authority cert. And then a lot of times, or you used to have to separate that into different files until it came up with a specific format, and you can go through and the system will automatically extract what it needs for each section. So like I said, this is the cert for the user cert, I believe, the private key, you know, all that stuff. And I'm deleting this after this, so I don't mind showing you guys this, but that is all that client information or configuration information for this VPN server, as well as the user. So all we have to do is once we import that file, it'll, like I said, pull in all that information we need. If you had a password on it, this is where it'll ask you for the password, you know what I'm saying, but we didn't set it up to use a password, so we're good to go. All we have to do is hit add. You can actually name it whatever you want. Like, let's say this is my Linode VPN server. You can name it whatever you want, you know what I'm saying, and then hit add. Boom. So Linode VPN, and then it automatically put VPN behind it. I wish it didn't do that, but you get the point. You can name it whatever you want, just don't put VPN at the end of it, because it's gonna automatically put VPN at the end of it. So we could have just put Linode and VPN. But anyway, in order to connect to your VPN, if you know, just added it and you probably already have this open, all you have to do is hit this toggle button, and that will connect to our VPN, and this will let you know that you are connected to your VPN right there. It gives you like a little alert, or it lets you know that you're connected to the VPN. So super cool that that's there. And then also, let's turn it off. And one thing I want to show you guys, if you close it, you just go up here to your network settings, and you'll see that the VPN is there. All you have to do is click on it, hit connect. It'll automatically connect to that Linode VPN. So boom, good to go. And then if we test it out again, the sequence should be done. It should be already connected, but bam, as you can see, that's my public IP address now. So that's our server in Linode. So super dope that you can actually do that. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is the easiest way to set up a VPN server in the cloud using whatever cloud platform you want to actually use. and route all your traffic through that server wherever it is, which is super dope. And I know a lot of people use VPNs to protect their privacy, and it's not as beneficial as it used to be, but it's super cool to have the option to actually set up your own VPN server in the cloud that you own and control. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and of course, keep it techie.